The one thing I never do when it comes to TV shows and movies is that I never rewatch them. I just can't imagine watching something where I know what's going to happen in the end and I know all the twists and turns. I don't find that exciting. So tell me why I started thinking about one of my favorite shows of the year when it came out, The Red Sleeve Cuff. I started thinking about how much fun and excitement I had watching it and how good of a show it really was. And so I did something that I never do. I rewatched it. And oh my god, my opinion has completely shifted. The way that I think of these characters has completely changed, and I'm here to share that with you today. First of all, I don't think my opinion is revolutionary, but I do think a lot of people still see their love story as a love story from beginning to end, and I don't really see it that way once I watch it a second time. There were various moments, like for instance, the very first time I think that he kissed her, or he forcefully kissed her, and he was basically choking her neck. I mean, she was into it, we were all into it, but that instance, he basically threatened her and was showing that he has more power over her. And not to mention that after that instance, he did banish her from the palace at least 2 or 3 times because he would confess to her, she would say, no, I'm not interested, I just want to work. And then he would get angry and say, okay, then if you don't want to be with me, leave the place where your entire family and friends are and go away. I don't care how you feel, but I want to be with you and you don't want to be with me, so I'm going to throw a tantrum and take you away. Which has to be painful on her part because she helped him in so many instances to assist him to become king. And I feel like without her, if we're being very honest, he would have lost his position a long time ago, or worse, been killed. I also find it painful on Dokima's part because even when he became king and he literally had all the power in the land, he wasn't able to spend as much time with her. As always, men are given the opportunity, or then they were given the opportunity to go out and socialize and work and make a name for themselves. And the women that they were with were just forced to just be at home, raise children, and like she said, wait for him every day. Wait for him to remember her. Wait for him to want to see her before she has access to the man that she is now with and I'm sure fell in love with. Another thing that bothered me my second time watching was her wedding night scene, because she was basically ordered to have a bath, get cleaned up, and wait for him so that he could, get it on. And although it was a heroic moment because she was facing abuse from her new master or mistress, she wasn't really given that option to choose if she wanted to be with him. And if you remember, on that specific night, he told her that if you reject me again, I will forget about you and I will ask you to leave the palace again. So for me, even though a lot of people were cheering, I suddenly felt a wave of dread. I felt like her autonomy was taken away from her. I felt like in her mind she was calculating, do I leave the palace and live away from my family and friends, or do I just suck it up and do what I have to do because I'm a woman in 17th century Korea? So now I want to move on and talk about what Dokima really lost, what she had to give up just to be in a relationship, which the prince or the king did not have to give up. The first thing she lost was her ability to work, and it's something that she was passionate about. You or me or the people in the palace might not agree that her work was that important, especially when it comes to doing something like being a king or a queen and running an entire country. She was passionate about her work, and it's something she wanted to do for the rest of her life. She wanted to grow old doing the work that she was basically raised to do. If you really think about it, it's a parallel between how the king was passionate about his work and felt like it was his duty to serve his people. She felt the same way about her work, but she was the only person who lost out on something that she was passionate about. So ever since these two met when they were children, it has been Dokima who has gone out of her way to save him multiple times. She has, whether he knows it or not, contributed to how he's been able to not only get to his position, but have the peace of mind to do so. I think that if she was still free, she would have been able to help him and tell him what the people really think, give him advice, save him from other issues. And I feel like you can compare it to if there is a chessboard, even though he's the one playing the game of chess, she's like the little pawn that is on the board and can see things from a very different perspective and then come back to feed him information. And she does make history, and she did make history. She saved him multiple times, not just from getting in trouble with his grandfather, but she saved his life when he was about to be assassinated. It was her ingenuity using the kite that saved his life. And it's unfortunate, but I feel like if she were a man, she would have had a very long career. She would have been by his side, making sure that his kingdom was prosperous and he was always aware of what his people needed and what his people wanted. So looking at her character, she is super adventurous and she likes to go outside. If she had access to pants, I feel like she would have done 10 times the amount of work than she already did. She will never have the ability to go to the beach, walk in the marketplace, smell different air, eat different foods. And for someone that has always been on her feet, I can't imagine that this is something she would enjoy. She is not a homebody. She is not the princess type, and I say that as a compliment. And it doesn't suit her character to be stuck in one place 24/7 and just knitting and doing needlework. So it's unfortunate for her character, and I feel like that's one of the major things that she will miss. So the king and the actor that plays the king are very handsome. Tall, good features, amazing, wonderful, really. But is that really something that you want to do? Just wait around for someone to come and see you? You don't have any autonomy to go to them. You always have to wait for them to come and see you. She died young, in her 30s, I think. But what if she lived to be 60? And when they get to 50, he doesn't really want to see her anymore. So she's just gonna like wilt away like a flower. I mean, that's always the possibility that he could get bored or tired or just fall in love with somebody else. And she will have no option than to wait. And we literally see that happen in the last few episodes, because sometimes he's working and he can get so busy that it will take 2 days before he comes to see her, or he'll come and see her very late at night, or he'll come in the middle of the night when she's already asleep. And it's almost like, yes, he's sorry about it, but he's still the king. I feel like he should have made more of an effort to be there for her, because he became her only source of anything. Her friends were working, he was working, and she did nothing but wait for him. And I think that was something that she got tired of, obviously, which is why at the very end she told him that if you see me in a next life, make sure to pass beside me, do not come to me, because I don't want to relive this again. Yes, I love you, yes, I care about you, but I think the pain and the consequences of being with you far outweighs any kind of love than I could ever honestly have for you. I saved the worst for last because the biggest loss, in my opinion, is the loss of her friends. That community and family that she built with them from when she was literally 6 years old, she lost it overnight. She could no longer work with them. They could no longer address her like they used to. They could not go outside of the palace together and shop and laugh and eat together. She became above them, even if she didn't believe that she was. And I'm so glad we got that episode where she got to see herself walking with them outside of the palace. That moment to me, when I watched it again, made me instantly regret ever rooting for her to get into this romantic relationship, because I felt like she was losing out on something that most people don't get in a single lifetime, and that is friends who become family, who become blood, something deeper than that. And it hurt me so much because based on all the other points that I've mentioned of things that she lost, and there's some things that she lost that I didn't mention, like for example, when her first son died, she wasn't given the ability to go and see him because he was a higher position than her, even though she literally gave birth to him. And she also lost the ability to go places by herself. You know, when you become a queen or a concubine, you need to have like 6 different maids behind you. You need your own security. You just lose the ability to become a single unit. You become like a group. And all those things added together, and maybe she would have been able to survive if she still had her friends beside her. Only one friend, the harshest one, I'm gonna put her picture, she's the only person who survived till the very end. Her other friends died, one of old age or sickness, I believe, and the other one died because she got pregnant, and that is not allowed, and the king could not save her, even if it was gonna be like an undercover thing. And so I do believe that the thing that really killed her was that she died of a broken heart, because romantic love is not the only love that we live by. And so I think once that aspect of her friends was taken away from her, that just made her very empty. And so once her son died, when she got pregnant again, I think mentally she was checked out, and I think she wanted to die. Like, I don't even want to say that, but I feel like she wanted to leave. She was tired, she was upset, she was full of a broken heart, constantly waiting for a man that was, you know, he did love her, but he was not really available to her. But I don't want to end on a bad note, because it is and it was an amazing drama. If you haven't watched it already, please stop what you're doing right now and watch it. You are probably gonna love it, especially after episode 2 when it gets good. Like, I think episode 1, episode 2 was like a pretty good introduction, but it gets really good after that. I also like the fact that the show ended with them kind of in we don't know whether they're in heaven or he's in a dream sequence, but I do believe that he did die and that was his paradise, and they did make it to each other. I think that if he wasn't the king and they were just like a wealthy couple, or just a couple that lived, you know, somewhere, they would have been happy. That would have been a love story for the ages. It's just that there were too many responsibilities. So I'm happy that it ended with them being together and them having their happy ending. They made us cry. I literally sobbed. And then they gave us them being happy. It would have been nice though to see their son, you know, or all their children that passed away come together, but it was still a very perfect ending. And so this does bring me to the end of my video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below. What other things do you think she missed out on? What are your favorite moments from like her character? She's obviously my favorite character, but the king is also a character that I love. Overall, it was a funny show. The tone was perfect. The characters were good and evil, and it was a perfect mix. And I'm hoping for better dramas like that in the coming years. Currently, in case you're wondering, I'm watching Dr. Cha. It's very interesting. I didn't think I'd really care because the characters are much older, but I find myself really enjoying the story and appreciating the lessons that I'm learning from it. I'm also watching Queenmaker. It's very female led and it's amazing. It's wonderful. The pacing is great. So if you're looking for any dramas to watch currently, check out Dr. Cha and Queenmaker. Again, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hopefully I'll catch you in my next video.